Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and this is the Not So Serious Keto video podcast number 99. So it's going to take a little while to get to 100, a little while longer, because I'm interspersing these interviews with Chef Scott Guerin of Modernist Pantry every other week. So we've got 99 this week. Next week we'll have part 2 of my interview with Scott Guerin. Then we'll have 100, and then the final part of my interview with Scott Guerin. I kind of feel like I need to do something epic for the 100th podcast, but I just don't know what that is. I'm sure I'll get a lot of suggestions from all of you, and probably most of them are going to be things that I'm not capable of doing, but we'll see if we can do something special. I'll give it some thought over the next couple of weeks. Let's see, in terms of this podcast, I think I'm going to start out with answering some common viewer questions that I get. The first of which is, Steve, are you ever going to do any sort of meetups or go to any of these conventions, low carb Nashville, or I'm just making words up here. Well, I'm not making words up. Those words already exist, low carb and Nashville, but I just combined them in a way that I don't know if is real or not. So will I go to any sort of low carb conventions or do any meetups? So I'm really of two minds on this, possibly three minds. The first of which is, I think it would be great to meet a lot of you. There's probably a few of you I don't want to meet, but most of you I do. There are a few people that hang around the Serious Keto comments, just I think purely to give me grief. Those people I'm not so interested in meeting, but 99.7% of you I think it would be a lot of fun to meet. The challenges with this are twofold. The first one I could probably get over, and that's that I'm an introvert. That doesn't mean I'm shy. It means that when I'm around large groups, I fatigue pretty rapidly. So like when I used to be a corporate trainer, that didn't wear me out. That was actually energizing because there's sort of an invisible wall almost between you and everybody else. I mean, we would interact, I would answer questions, and I would take suggestions and things like that. So it was a highly interactive class, but in a way it felt like, I don't know, like I was in a play or something, like I'm up on stage and they're an audience. It's not, I don't know, it's not as an interpersonal reaction as you would have with just, some people talking. But I think I can get over that. Just, I would need to maybe take some little breaks, go have some time by myself to chill. I think it would be cool. The issue that I have is I'm just not interested in doing any sort of air travel right now. And this is, I don't want you to take this as a commentary on masks or vaxxing or any of that, because that's not what it is. What it is people have just gotten crazy over the last 2 years, and they're treating each other poorly, and already airports were the number one place to just see sort of how badly humans can act. I'm thinking it was Men in Black. There's the line about people, or was it persons are smart, but people are dumb, panicky animals, something like that. And you really see that in an airport and on airplanes, and over the last 2 years, it has gotten significantly worse, in my opinion. And when you couple that with the fact that I am sort of introverted, I just don't want to be around all of that. Additionally, it seems like wherever these conventions are held tend to be a rather significant drive for me. And I don't especially feel like driving for a day and a half to go to a convention. So at some point, yes. And who knows, maybe I will do something at some point in the future, sort of in the southeast Wisconsin area, have some folks come up from Chicago or Indiana, wherever you want to come from, I guess. You're welcome to come here. But maybe that's something that I will look into down the line. That was a long answer to a short question. Next, why don't you do TikTok videos? Because I don't like TikTok videos, and I'm not going to do what I don't like. I feel that there are some people that are very good at doing short form videos, and there are some recipes that really lend themselves to short form videos, but for the most part, mine don't. Either my recipes don't, or just my personality, my verbosity just does not accommodate something like a TikTok video. Will you review product, insert product name? Maybe. For me to review a product, one of two things needs to happen. One of three things I think needs to happen. One, either it needs to be something I actively seek out because I'm curious and I want to try it. And sometimes that happens based on viewer suggestions. They'll say, hey, Steve, have you ever heard of such and such? And I say, no, but now I'm curious. And then I'll order it off of Amazon or whatever website. So that's situation number one where I'll do a review. Situation number two is when companies come to me directly. You know what, I'm going to save that for situation number three because that kind of segues into my next topic. So forget I said that. Situation number two is I'm out at Walmart or Costco or wherever, and I see a product labeled keto. And I think either, this could be good, or I think, this doesn't look very keto to me based on the ingredients. Maybe I should just review it just to sort of, call to people's attention, trash ingredients, and that you should read labels. So that's situation number two. Situation three, which I teased accidentally a minute ago, would be when a company approaches me and says, hey, Steve. Well, first off, they do need to call me Steve. Very often I get these emails, well, daily, I get emails saying, hey, serious? And my thought is, if you don't even know my name, which I say in the first 5 seconds of every video, then probably you don't watch my videos and this isn't going to be a fit because you haven't researched me, you don't know what I'm all about. So, Steve, would you like to, and then it's either be a partner, be a marketing partner, do a promo, how much do you charge, can you review our product? Some combination of those things. And my response is always the same, which is if you believe in your product and are willing to subject it to a fair and unbiased review, go ahead and send it to me. And that actually scares off a fair number of companies. I think a lot of them, what they're looking for is me just to do a favorable review. And that's not how I roll. I mean, even companies that I like and I like doing business with, Perfect Keto is an example, Chipmunk Baking is an example. From time to time, they make a product I don't care for, and I let you know that I don't care for it. So, like I said, probably half the time, at least, that scares companies away. Or they'll say, hey, great, Steve, let's get your address, I'll send this stuff to you, and they never do. Now, the thing that I need to start doing going forward with these companies, the new criteria that I need to add, and this really stems from my review of the Flock chicken chips. I need to start asking companies for the ingredient list. Send me the ingredients, send me the nutritional label, and then I will make a decision whether or not I'm going to review it. Because the Flock chicken chips, had I known that they had soybean oil, I wouldn't have reviewed them. I mean, when I go to the grocery store and I look at the ingredients list, if I see a product that says soybean oil, I'm not going to buy it. Now, if you're cool with soybean oil, I'm not trying to preach to you. I'm just saying, for me, I don't eat that stuff. I find it highly inflammatory, so to me, that's a no-go. But I kind of learned a little bit of a lesson with those Flock chips, and going forward, not going to do anything that's got really a whole bunch of garbage oil or other things that affect me. Now, there are things in there like the maltodextrin in the Flock chicken chips, but you're talking like a gram of maltodextrin. To me, that's not a big deal. If it is to you, again, your choice. I don't ingredient police on anybody but myself. But if you've got concerns with maltodextrin, I would suggest that you go look in your spice cabinet and look at some of your various spice mixes. I would look at, pretty much anything that comes in a powder form from the grocery store. I would say go take a look at your vitamins, your vitamin C, your vitamin B, your multivitamin. I will pretty much guarantee you that they contain maltodextrin, and probably more than what's in that bag of Flock chicken chips. But ultimately what I'm saying is I'm going to start turning down some companies in terms of reviews. And I had to turn one down recently. They've got a bread mix. Really, the guy was really cool. We were talking back and forth on email. I said, can you send me the ingredient list? And there were like 3 or 4 different instances of soy type products contained in it. And I just thought, no, even if it's not soybean oil, I don't have a huge issue with soy, but I know that a lot of my viewers do, and I wasn't interested in the blowback from it, so told him no. So that's something I think you're going to see more of or less of in the future. So more of me being particular about what I review and less of me taking random products in and reviewing them and potentially having issues with the ingredients. Recently, my resistant starch videos have been getting a lot more views and comments, and whenever that happens, I figure it must be due to some news article or something like that that comes out on resistant starch. And sure enough, just yesterday, what showed up in my Google News feed was an article from MSN.com. Now, I'm not going to make any comments about them one way or the other politically, but I will tell you that every article I've ever read from MSN is fluff and pretty much worthless clickbait. Just my opinion. So this article starts with the bullets. Eating carbs that have been cooked, cooled, and then reheated could help people lose weight. Reheated potatoes, rice, and pasta have more resistant starch, registered nutritionist Rhiannon Lambert explained. Resistant starch helps prevent blood sugar spikes and is more satiating, research suggests. So I would love it. Oops, sorry if that made a little noise. I would love it if this were true. But I've done, I don't know how many videos, 5, 6 videos testing out various forms of supposedly resistant starch. I have tried cooking them and cooling them. I've tried cooking them and cooling them and reheating them. I have tried cooking, cooling, and reheating repeatedly just to see if somehow that magically created some more resistant starch. And what I have found in all of these videos is one thing that's consistent, which is, well, 2 things. I'm not good at counting in this particular podcast. 2 things. First, it doesn't seem that resistant starch is a thing, at least in terms of glucose. Now, it may be very good for your gut biome, but every time that I've tried it straight up, after it's been cooked, I get a glucose spike. The one other thing that I found consistently is that the inclusion of fat will blunt that spike. And that's not a surprise. In the book The Obesity Code by Dr. Jason Fung, he talks about a study that was done using strawberries with and without fat and checking the blood glucose response, and it was blunted when you include fat. So, not a surprise there. In terms of the article, it's basically just a rehashing of the same studies that were done in 2014 and 2015, which were very small studies. One was at the University of Surrey, and the other at the University of Indonesia. But it seems that these 2 little studies just keep getting rehashed over and over again. And if you go into the MSN article, which I'm not going to link to because I don't want to give them any ad revenue for putting out an article like this, there are links to the 2014 and 2015 studies, and those just take you to the article that I'd already seen from the BBC. So if this shows up in your newsfeed, whatever newsfeed you're using, you can probably safely ignore it. The final topic that I want to cover is SAD. And not sad like I'm sad, and not sad standard American diet, but seasonal affective disorder. This is something that has historically affected me. And part of it may be triggered by the fact that the Packers keep getting knocked out of the playoffs right around this time of the year, so I've got that to deal with. But just overall, by the end of January, beginning of February, I have had enough of Wisconsin winter. And this is when it starts getting especially bad. You know, the other day was last Tuesday, when I went to Costco, it was 11 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. That's just wrong. And it's hard not to be in kind of a crappy mood after going out into that. And, you know, clearing snow in that. Hey, if you're ever going to buy a house, and probably most of my viewers are old enough that they already have and they know this, but if you're a young person and you're getting ready to buy a house, do not buy a corner lot in a place where it snows. Horrible, horrible, horrible when it comes time to clear snow. So, free tip from Steve right there. But I think also part of it is the sun, the sun setting earlier, the sun rising later. I'm sleeping longer, and just in general, I kind of go into a bit of a funk this time of the year. So one of the things that I have found that helps is I've got one of these little blue light thingies. I think it's made by Phillips. I'll see if it's still available. It seems like the last time, well, when I tried to buy a replacement battery for it, I really had a hard time. But if it is available, I'll link to it down in the description below, because I have found this to be super duper helpful. What I do is I just set it off to the side of my computer monitor, and then, while I'm watching YouTube videos or answering emails or entering stuff into Quicken or whatever it is that I'm doing, I've got this blue light coming. And maybe it's a placebo effect, but man, I feel like almost instantly better the moment it's on. It really feels pretty good. The other thing, though, that's going on that's different this year than every prior year, and I think also has had a big, big impact in my mood, is that, I haven't been drinking. I haven't had anything to drink since a glass of champagne on New Year's Eve. And as a result, I just find that my mood in general is just so much better, but I just feel very, very level-headed and clear, and things don't bother me. I don't get frustrated. I don't get irritated. And, so there's another potential solution. If you too, not the band, but you also suffer from seasonal affective disorder. I would be curious to know, though, because I'm not an expert on this, if any of you have any experience with combating seasonal affective disorder, whether that's a supplement, whether that's something, diet that you do, whatever it is. I'd love to know. Please let me know down in the comments below. And as I said at the beginning of this video, next week we will be back with Scott Guerin from Modernist Pantry. Those videos, the interview videos, never do as well as I expect. I mean, I get, as a proportion of views, I get more likes, so a greater proportion of likes to views. Probably a better way to explain it. But I get fewer views. So it seems like the people that like those videos love those videos. But a lot of people, I think they just see that I'm doing an interview and they're like, pass. That's okay. I'm okay with that, because I like mixing things up from time to time, and I have fun talking to people like Chef Scott or Dennis from Black Tie Kitchen, and we'll see at some point. Who knows who I will get on. But I would encourage you, if you haven't watched one, give them a watch. Maybe you'll enjoy it. Maybe you'll enjoy the back and forth banter. And if you don't, that's cool. That's fine too. I'll be back in another week with just me. And in this particular instance, that just me will be for the 100th time. So we'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Or listening.